Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and today, as you can see, I am out here in the wild, in the wilderness. And today in this video I'm going to be kind of showing you guys how to make a composting bin. But first of all, let me kind of go over some things. So why should you do it in the first place? Most, if not all, garbage ends up actually in a landfill. And that includes recycling, especially as of lately since COVID hit. So again, depending on your location, recyclables might not even be recycled, but just thrown into the landfill with the trash. And about the landfills, compostables that go in landfills just end up rotting because nothing is there to break it down, and it needs oxygen to compost correctly. And then the last reason, I guess, of why to compost is because it is super easy. It really is. And you can make your own bin, which is the cheapest way, or you can buy a specific composting thing that can cost a little bit more, depending on how much you're willing to spend. First things first, let's get started. So over here, I actually have a bin that I've had for a while, so that's what I'm going to be using today. So in this bin, I actually, as you can see, maybe, I did drill some holes. There's a hole here and here, and I did that all along the outside. And this is for drainage, just in case. So the bigger the better, but it really doesn't matter. If you could even scale this down so you could put it inside of your kitchen if that is something you desire to do, which is a little bit nicer. And you can control the temperature a little bit easier, and I'll explain a little bit later why that is good. So again, I showed you the drill holes. You just drill holes, just make sure you have proper drainage just in case you have enough water. It isn't absolutely necessary, especially if you're going to be bringing it inside, because you don't want any sort of drainage inside of your home, because who actually wants something like that? And then next is to find your compostables. So what can you compost? So carbon-rich items are also known as brown items. So that's like dried leaves and dried sticks and stuff like that. So just dried stuff from your yard or something like that. And the next item you'll need is nitrogen rich, which is also called a green item. So that's like lawn clippings. Don't use too much, but you can use that. And you can use weeds if you're weeding your home, and as long as you haven't used herbicides to kill the weeds and you're pulling them straight out of the ground, you can throw them into your compost bin. So what not to use? Don't use meat. There are some people that say that you can use dairy. I have not used dairy yet. So I mean, you can experiment if that's what you wish. That could be good for your garden. Again, I have not experimented with it, so I just don't do it. Next, you don't want to use inorganic materials such as like plastics and glass, as those really don't compost down and they take a long time. Yeah, I'm sure all you know about plastic, how it breaks down but gets really small and then it just gets everywhere. And the next thing not to use is probably organic waste. I guess you could do this if you're only going to be like fertilizing your trees or your bushes, something that you won't be actually consuming. But I would just not use any organic waste, such as pretty much I'm talking about feces here. I wouldn't use anything such as that, especially carnivorous animals and humans. Don't use that because we have different microbes in our systems, and you don't want that in your ground. For herbivores such as cows and stuff like that, that is fine because they're only eating what comes out of the ground for the most part. So it's a little bit better, but I again do not use any fecal matter or anything like that. And you don't want to put any household cleaners. I don't know why you really would, but just don't use it. And as long also don't use hygiene products that's like diapers, menstrual pads, or anything such as that. Hygiene products, just don't throw them in there. Even if they say biodegradable or compostable, I wouldn't throw it in there because that's just kind of gross. And then next is you also don't want to put diseased plants in there from your garden or something like that. So you could have plants that need to be composted, but they are diseased. So that the best thing to do with that, I would say, if you're willing to do it, you could even make a separate compost bin and just use it for that. But I would just recommend tossing it in the trash because it's diseased, and you don't want to spread it, and you don't want to spread it throughout your compost and stuff like that. And so the mixture that you're going to need between nitrogen and carbon is 3 carbon to 1 nitrogen, just or something around that. All right, so let's actually get started into making this. So here we have the bin, and then here I actually have my brown, my carbon rich. So I have some animals that actually use some bedding and everything like that, just natural bedding gotten from outside and everything. So I've got some aspen and some bark that I use. So I have that in this bucket, as well as some just dried grass and everything. You can just use that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just throw in some on the bottom. You always want to start with brown on the bottom because that'll be like a sponge layer. So now I added that. And then the next thing you want to add are your greens. So what I have here, I have some just things that fell on the ground. They were not, they're not diseased at all. So you can use whole fruit. And I also have some chopped up food waste. This is just an apple. The finer you chop it, the faster it's going to compost down. So I'll just throw that in there. And then that's all I have at the moment. And as you go, you can always add more. Well, you're supposed to add more nitrogen and carbon-rich items. All right, so once you have your greens on top of your brown, you get the rest of your brown, and you just add more until you cover up the green. Cover up the green as best as you can, and then you can add more green if you have it. I have a little bit more brown, and I'll add the rest of that. Now the brown is good to have and essential because it also soaks up excess water if you have any. So that's always a benefit. And the reason you don't want to have your greens exposed to or on top is because they will rot. So you always want to make sure your greens are covered with your brown, because otherwise it will rot and it will smell pretty gross. Alright, so then after you do this and after you finish it all, here's my final product. I don't have much brown and green today, as I actually already have a compost bin. I'm just making this just to show you guys. But after you make this, you can add some water. And then you always just want to have it moist, not sopping wet, but just moist, just so everything gets activated, all the biodegradable things just biodegrade, I guess, and compost down. And then every week or so, I have a special tool. Let me come grab it real quick. I have this tool right here. You can stick it in and you just twist it down and you pull up. Some people also just use Pitchforks, which that's fine too, but about every week or so, depending on your temperature, you'll want to stir it up more or less. So if it's hotter in your region, you can stir it up more often, and if it's too cold, you can stir it up less. Alright, so now that we're all done with our compost bin, what do we want to do? You're going to want to wait around 3 months or upward, and that depends on your temperature. I would recommend waiting until it becomes like soil, pretty much like compost that you'll see at a store or something like that you can purchase. You can also go a little bit shorter of a time just because you can have it like a mulch, and that's also good for keeping your plants I guess hydrated, keeping the soil hydrated. But for me, I like to have it fully composted and everything ready to throw in the garden, and then will have mulch separately and add that. If you used any inorganic material, do not use it in your garden, or especially just wherever you get your food from. So use it on your bushes in your front yard, use it on your trees in the front yard, as long as you know they're not fruit bearing trees, because if somebody in your front yard says, oh look, an apple, and pulls it, then they could be eating toxins if you're using inorganic material. And the inorganic material I'm referring to is if you really want some fecal matter, it's pretty much that's it. I wouldn't add any hygiene products, because that's just kind of gross. And then the next and last thing is, just remember that your plants will soak up any potential toxins that you give to it. So whether that's in your soil, if it's in your compost, your plants will suck it up, and if you are consuming that plant, you will be getting those toxins. So just keep aware of that. Thank you guys for watching this video. Feel free to leave a comment down below or to the side, and comment what you would like to see next for a video. I'll give you more tutorials. I can give you more explanation on this compost bin, and I can go in more into depth if that is something that you guys like. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you found it informational at all, please give it a share, just so other people can see how easy it is to compost. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.